Denny Hamlin was missing for much of Sunday's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but this was intentional. However, was it also a good decision? Will this help him finally win a title this year? What do you think? Could Hamlin finally win that title he's been after for so long? Before you decide on that, let's dive into the flawed strategy and Hamlin's reactions to the haters. The weekend began poorly in qualifying, with Hamlin struggling around the track, more than 2 seconds off the pace. He earned a starting position at the very back of the grid in Atlanta. His crew promptly went under the hood and decided to replace the plug wires. The identical tweak was made to his Joe Gibbs racing colleagues Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs in an effort to prevent the same problem on race day. They too would start at the very back. On Sunday, however, Truex and Gibbs marched to the front, leaving Hamlin in the back. At first, it appeared like there was a problem with the num 11 Toyota, but this was all part of the plan. He ended stage 1 in 32nd place, and about 15 laps into the second stage, he willingly pulled out of line in favor of returning to the rear of the field. "I don't like it, Chris," he told crew boss Chris Gabehart over the radio. "I think they're gonna wreck." However, it turned out to be a rather clean race by Atlanta standards. There were no mishaps on the second stage, and Hamlin chose to make no further advance. As the laps ticked past, more than 30 cars remained on the lead lap. Hamlin had no choice except to attempt to cut a route to the front, which would be impossible at this point. "I thought at the very end we got the Mavis Tire Camry kind of where it needed to be, but by then, you were kind of dealing with a log jam of a couple of lanes that are kind of blocking things and you couldn't go much of anywhere, so I just tried to avoid the wrecks," Hamlin said after the race. "I was trying to get 20 points out of the day. That was my goal. Just get 20 however we could, obviously. Starting in the back didn't help with that. We did the best we could." The big collision he foresaw finally came, on the final lap, and Hamlin was collected. He carried his wrecked automobile across the finish line in 24th place, scoring only 13 points. "Just saw cars turning sideways in front of me," he stated of the event. "Tried to avoid wrecks all day and just got in the last one." Hamlin exits Atlanta 11th in the championship standings, barely 2 points ahead of the cut line. However, the poor weekend did not deter the driver of the num 11 JGR Toyota. "No, not really," he said when asked whether he was concerned. "I did what I wanted to do, and that was lay in the back most of the race and try to see what attrition came about again. 20 points seemed really possible, but came up a little short of that today." In his defense, the remaining 2 races of the round are at Watkins Glen, where he placed second last year, and Bristol, where he won only a few months ago. Truex, his partner, elected to race from the rear in Atlanta and wound up in an accident, earning only 4 points. It was an unnecessarily conservative plan that would have looked terrific if the race had seen the same kind of attrition we saw earlier this year, but that did not happen. On Monday, Hamlin discussed it further on his podcast, Actions Detrimental, detailing how statistics and analytics played a significant role in his choice to ride for the most of Sunday's race. In the spring Atlanta race, he led 15 laps but finished 23rd, earning only 14 points. Even on the final lap of the race, Hamlin was still in an accident. He finished 24th on the day and is currently only 2 points above of the cutoff. "I thought there would be a bigger wreck, just trying to play the numbers. Figured there would be more incidences than there was," Hamlin told the reporters on pit road afterward, according to Bob Pockris of Fox Sports. "I mean, there were still some playoff guys and some stuff, but overall I didn't care about what anyone else did, just tried to get 20 points, which is a mid to high teen finish. Just trying to get through this round, that's it." Hamlin didn't see the accident coming. He doesn't know what occurred. He simply saw automobiles all over the track. Then, he was wrecking too. The following 2 weeks must be better for Hamlin. When you go on the track, you're racing to win. While the present system rewards points racing, Denny Hamlin became overly cautious. Honestly, his technique today demonstrated that no matter what you do, the risk of crashing is always present on these superspeedways. Even though he was cautious, Hamlin was nonetheless devastated. He did not gain any stage points that day either, but he's still satisfied with how things went today. "I feel okay about it. The biggest thing about the rounds is I was trying not to finish 20th or worse at any of these tracks," Hamlin said. "We do that, then we're going to be fine. I don't even know where we finished, but obviously we gotta go the next couple of weeks and perform good." Denny Hamlin did not zoom through the field. He made progress, but it wasn't easy to speed through traffic. Everything was going as planned until it wasn't. I don't know. The track gets so log-jammed there, it's really hard to, and the track is so narrow, it's really hard to get. Just say you're going to march right to the front. Our balance was not great the first half of the race, and we finally got it pretty good there at the end, but obviously we had made our bed to just avoid wrecks. Is Denny Hamlin not demonstrating enough urgency here? He had a fairly tough day in Atlanta, both in terms of points and outcomes. He's powerful at Watkins Glen, but he'll need a spectacular qualifying lap to get points. He won at Bristol earlier this year, but it will be a tire race, so anything can happen. So, was the strategy flawed? What do you think? At least some experts seem to think it was a bad strategy to race with. This came to light as Kyle Petty criticized Denny Hamlin's tactics during Sunday's Cup Series playoff opening in Atlanta, as Hamlin raced around the back for the entire race. Who goes into the playoffs saying, "I want to get 20 points in the first race"? I've never heard anything like that in all the history of when we've had playoffs. I just want to get 20 race points. I'm gonna ride back here. So I'm more confused now than I was before I heard him speak, Petty said after the race. Hamlin addressed Petty's comments on Monday's Actions Detrimental podcast. He stated that it was the technique he wanted to employ on the day, before expressing optimism heading into Watkins Glen and Bristol before the playoff field is reduced from 16 to 12. I think teams are smarter now than they used to be, and certainly not saying that this was the right strategy, but it was the one that I wanted to employ on the day, Hamlin said. If 20 points, I don't know the last time I scored 20 points on a super speedway race. It's been so long. I know that still there's some things that can happen, but I feel like the next two tracks, tires are going to be a big thing. At Watkins Glen, we've got a new tire that's got seconds of fall off apparently, and if that's the case, then you could be on the good end or the bad end of that. Then you got Bristol. We don't know whether we're going to have a race like the spring or a race like the fall. Either way, we won those two races. So again, if I can just hold myself above water going to Bristol, I feel very confident we're going to go out there and perform well. The crashes that Hamlin predicted did not occur. That is, until the final lap of the race. However, Hamlin found himself involved, so he didn't collect the 20 points. Hamlin finished P24 and is currently only 2 points shy of the cut line. I feel okay about it. The biggest thing about the rounds is I was trying not to finish 20th or worse at any of these tracks, Hamlin said after the race. We do that, then we're going to be fine. I don't even know where we finished, but obviously we gotta go the next couple of weeks and perform good. The question is if they will. What do you think? Has Hamlin done himself a disservice by using such an underwhelming strategy? And will he even be able to get through the next couple of rounds with this deficit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.